especially to receive this citation. These three people that I never met before, but can see we've become fast friends and hope we get to continue. So, to say that William Jewell College broadened my horizons is a gross misunderstatement. I've always been a goal setter, but this place allowed me to see my own expectations and also the expectations of anyone who ever sat in a high school class, college class, or law school class with me. Nobody on either side of my family, men or women, had ever gone to college. I grew up in Watson, Missouri, which is the farthest northwest town in Missouri. In fact, it's the last town on I-29 before you go into Iowa. The population sign says 120, but that must include the farm animals that live inside the city. Luckily, I went to the largest town in the county, Rockport, for high school. It's grown a little bit. The population is 1,318 now. It was most famous for its fireworks stands, but now has become the first 100% wind-powered municipality in the world. Its courthouse is over 125 years old, and it's the home of my local office as a judge on the Supreme Court of Missouri, complete with taxidermy, wildlife art, and pictures of my favorite hunting dogs. I was recruited to the big city, Liberty that is, and the campus of William Jewell College to play football by Coach Stan McGarvey. The Cardinals had gone to the national playoffs my senior year in high school, and I wanted to play for a winner. Coach McGarvey said he wanted me on his team. I agreed to come, so he promptly left. But if you'll bear with me, you'll find out that I'm not mad about it much. And in the end, I was able to be on a team with Coach McGarvey, and it was on that team that I learned some of life's greatest lessons. Before I talk about the importance of my higher education, no remarks of mine here at William Jewell College would be complete without references to football. Football allowed me to extend my childhood in ways that nothing else could have. But at the same time, it really broadened my life experience. My first few jet rides were on trips to play football for William Jewell College, as Deb Steincross knows what was then called Red Rage, and the ground really did shuffle when we came to town, didn't it? We went to the national playoffs 3 out of 4 years that I was here, and we played in what was built the first American football team to ever tour Europe. We played 2 games in Finland and 2 games in Germany. Because Coach Vic Wallace, who was a little disorganized, lost the cassette tape to the national anthem after our first game, I sang it at the microphone with some other offensive linemen. And I credit that experience as the beginning of my career in what's now come to be known as karaoke. The crowds that I perform in now aren't nearly as large as the one in the Olympic Stadium in Helsinki. The triple overtime win over Sul Ross State in the heat of Alpine, Texas, my sophomore year, reinforced for me 2 things. First, never give up. Second, always be mentally and physically prepared, because you'll never know when you're needed. My sophomore year, I was a special teams player and a second stringer. But early in the first quarter, when Todd White, the strong guard, blew an ankle, I played the rest of the game. Did I mention we won in triple overtime? Todd recovered for the following week's game against Northwestern of Iowa in the freezing rain here at home. That game, though, I would be starting at weak side tackle, a place that I had never played, but always learned the plays just in case. Mike Rogers, our outstanding weak side tackle, had injured his shoulder in Texas and was unable to play. We won. And the following week, we traveled to Linfield of Oregon to play in the national championship. I was back in my rightful place, on the special teams and on the bench. But nobody questioned whether I was ready, physically or mentally, if needed. I wasn't one of the best players. I knew it. Everybody else did. But if it was necessary, I would be there for them. Now, the relationships that you make on this campus will go with you the rest of your life. Ann Martin, who worked in what was then the evening division, and now still here at the Navy Center, was what was then a football foster parent program for those of us who come from the country who might need a nice home-cooked meal once in a while. And so she had me and some other people over to her place for dinner, some other players. And what she didn't realize, because she grew up in the city, was that if you feed a stray cat, it will keep coming back. And I did, and I still do. And I stayed with them Wednesday night. And I have benefited from her and her husband Steve's wise counsel throughout my life. And it was really an honor to have them at my table last night and have them with me today. Now, in addition to fostering relationships here at Jewel, I encourage you to take all of your extracurricular activities very serious. I did that, and it has served me well. Let me give you one example. I was a KA, and one of my responsibilities as a leadership in KA was that I was in charge of house mom relations. Our longtime house mother was Thelma Moore, and I took that responsibility so serious that when her granddaughter graduated from Stephen F. Austin in Texas and moved into her mother to look for a job, I showed some pity and took her out to a Royals game. That was the second semester of my junior year. The summer graduation, after college, I married her. And this July 13th, Julie and I will have been married 27 years. So, in addition to being a great mother of our 4 children, my best friend, Julie's steady income at Farmland Industries allowed me to go to law school on what we affectionately refer to as the Brunette Scholarship. I had some college professors here who, like a lot of college professors, had very unique personalities. One of my favorites was Dr. John Eilers. Some of you will remember him. Some thought he was odd. Heck, some people thought I was odd. And the truth is, we probably were. But Dr. Eilers and I were nothing alike. He was cultured, well-read, well-spoken. I was uncouth, unread, could not spell, and said whatever came to mind. But we quickly established a mutual admiration from one another. I told Dr. Eilers my sophomore year that I wanted to be a lawyer. And he said, well, I guess that's okay, but that I should use my legal education to pursue a career in public service. He said that he thought that I had something unique to offer. Now, I regret that I did not ask him what that was. He passed away in 2005, and a fellow William Jewell College graduate was given some of his personal things. He died a bachelor, having never married, no children, no family, and not a lot of friends left around. But this fellow graduate football player was given some of his things, including a few select files that he had saved from William Jewell College. Much to my surprise, in the file cabinet of important documents was a file titled Zel Fischer. Now, this was brought to my attention just this year when our football team was inducted into the William Jewell College Hall of Fame. In fact, my fellow teammate and political science major gave a copy of the contents of this file to my youngest daughter, Courtney, at the game. And as I said, Courtney will, despite finding out the contents, pursue her college career here next fall. Now, it makes you wonder, what paper did I author that would have such an impact on the chair of the political science department that he would keep it in his file cabinet of important papers? Could that answer the question about what I had to offer in the role of a public servant? Well, the truth is, if it did hold the answer was, have a good sense of humor and don't make lame excuses. Now, in order to protect my reputation somewhat before I disclose the contents of the file, I've got to give you some context. I was the political science work study supervisor, and I worked for Dr. Eilers. I helped him grade papers, clean the office, whatever else he asked. Now, I'll tell you, and I think this is a trait that lots of college professors have in common, nothing bothered Dr. Eilers more than the lame excuses that college students would give to be late on an assignment, late on a paper, unprepared for a test, or want to skip a class. One night, late in the office, down in the old hall, we were commiserating about the lame excuses that students would give for such things. And Dr. Eilers looked me right in the eye and he said, "Zel, you are not my smartest student." And I looked him back in the eye and I said, "I know, Dr. Eilers, Gloria Griffin is your smartest student. That's why I partner with her on all group activities." And then he said, "Well, you're always prepared and you don't make excuses." I puffed out my chest, felt pretty good about it. I said, "You know, Doc, if I ever need to give you an excuse, it will be a doozy." Being from Baltimore, I had to explain what doozy meant to him. But in keeping with the doctrine of pride before the fall, it was just a few weeks later that I wanted, not needed, to skip a class. Now, the contents of this file was my letter requesting an excused absence. It's up here for all of you to see. Now remember, I've already confessed I can't spell. "Dear Dr. Eilers, please excuse Zel from class on Monday. His $2,000 coonhound died from the Zel wanted to be present at the autopsy and the funeral. Zel has mentioned on several occasions that you are his favorite." Signed, sincerely, Nancy Fisher. Now, Doc was very familiar with my handwriting, but just in case he didn't know the importance of the request, you notice I printed Zel's letter. January 31st, 1983. I wish you could make this stuff up. Now, during my lifetime now. Sorry about that. During my time at law school at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and after my one-year clerkship with the Supreme Court, Julie and I loved this community so much. This is where we lived. And we attended church at Second Baptist just down the hill where my friend Dub Steincross married us. Coach Stan McGarvey returned to this community, coach here at Williamsville, and he attended church there as well. He was asked to teach a high school Sunday school class, and once again he asked me to be on his team. I praised the education that I had received here, and I told Coach McGarvey how it had prepared me for law school, and I thanked him sincerely for talking me into coming to Williamsville College. And like the good man that I am, I forgave him for leaving Williamsville College and explained to him that it was probably the worst mistake he would ever make. But if Williamsville College was willing to give him a second chance, so was I. So I started teaching that class with him, and on April 20th, 1990, the Sunday school topic was Micah 6:8. And we made these pledge cards for all the high school students to sign based upon the words in that verse. And it had 3 blanks, and you would fill the blanks in with the words from the scripture, and it was their place there for you to sign it and date it. And honestly, at the time, I thought it was somewhat of an elementary exercise and wondered whether it would have any impact at all on the high school class. But I filled out the pledge card myself. It's up on the screen. "He has told you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love kindly, and walk humbly with your God." And it says I'll try to adapt this truth to my life this week. Well, the following Monday, I pulled out that card, just like I had asked the high school students to do. And I said a prayer based on that verse. And the following Monday, I did it again. And I don't really need to look at the card anymore, but I still keep it with me in my Franklin planner. And what I want you to remember when you leave this place, no matter where you go, no matter your chosen profession, I want you to consider what is required of you. And that's to do justice, to love kindly, and to walk humbly with your God.